Erika Donalds is here. She is the chair of the America First Policy Institute Center for Education Opportunity, also the wife of Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. Erika, good to see you as always, and thank you so much for coming on the program. Let's just start by the obvious campaign promise of dismantling the Department of Education. Obviously needs an act of Congress, as we said, but he's doing everything but that to get this done and making sure DEI, gender ideology, is gutted from it. Your thoughts there?
Well, our nation is in crisis when it comes to our academic performance. As just revealed by the nation's report card this year, only 3 in 10 children are reading proficiently. It's absolutely unacceptable, and it is a national security issue. So I'm very happy to see President Trump making good on his promise to get rid of the Department of Education and do anything that he possibly can to do so without congressional approval. Of course, working with Congress to try to make that happen permanently. We did see last week Linda McMahon cutting half of the staff at the Department of Education, and we know that there is redundancy, there is waste. We heard that $100 million was wasted on DEI programs, and President Trump is going to root all of that out.
Obviously, parents like yourself are supportive of the president's plan, but it is not met without criticism. In fact, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has this to say about President Trump's plan. Let's watch.
Let's just name it what it is. The president has no idea how education works. He has no idea how these work. He has no idea how any of this works.
So, Erika, your reaction to the Minnesota governor there?
Well, he's beholden to the teachers' unions, which are opposing this plan because it defunds the bureaucracy that they depend on for more and more union dues. More of this money is actually going to reach the students it is intended to benefit, because we will not have to pay for multiple layers of red tape and paper pushers, frankly. That is the president's plan, is not to cut the funding, but to push that responsibility and accountability down to the states and the local governments. So what Tim Walz is saying is that he doesn't want responsibility for these funds. He doesn't want to be responsible for meeting the needs of special needs students and low-income students in his state, and he doesn't want the blame for the lack of student performance that is occurring under his watch.
Yeah, and it depends on how you read this story online in terms of slashing the Department of Education. So it's important to note that Title I funding that's for low-income students, that stays. Student loans, that stays. Aid for students with disabilities, again, that stays. So keep that in mind. I wanted to read you, this is an excerpt from NBC News and how they're covering the story in terms of DEI. It's quick, but here's what it says. On NBC News covering the story. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is a widely used label applied to efforts to improve workplace culture and create more opportunities for disadvantaged groups, and they are not inherently discriminatory. Can you respond to that? Is that an accurate depiction of DEI, not inherently discriminatory?
Unfortunately, it's not. And it may have been in the very beginning, over a decade ago when DEI came about. Even Republicans were supportive of a more diverse workplace, of perhaps corporations going to HBCUs to look for candidates equally as other types of colleges. We're all for that, giving equal opportunity. But what it has turned into is a requirement for equal outcomes, ratios, race-based hiring practices, affirmative action. Those are the things that absolutely are discriminatory, and we have seen it happen. We've seen the courts uphold where people have been discriminated against because of these policies. And the president has promised on the campaign trail, received a mandate from the American people to get rid of these practices in our federal government, throughout our education system, and frankly, in our culture. And so he's doing that, and I fully support it.
Great description. Again, for some reason, that part that you mentioned at the very end in terms of hiring practices, that wasn't written within that article, though much needed. Erika Donalds joining us from the Capitol. Erika, thank you.